Good morning to all. As of right now, we do have a quorum. Angela, may you please have a roll call?
Chair Ariscotta.
Here.
Vice Chair Cruz Crawford.
Here.
Regent Boylan.
Aye.
Regent Brager.
Here.
Regent Del Carlo.
Here.
You do have a quorum.
Thank you, Ms. Palmer. We're going to move on to public comment, but prior to anybody going up to the podium, I'm going to first, for those who would like to call in and make a public comment, please dial 669-444-9171 and enter meeting ID 92849445069, and then passcode 555-5555. I will ask for public comment from the meeting first. Is there any public comment at GBC?
There is none at this time.
Thank you. Is there any public comment from the systems office in Las Vegas? And it does not look like it.
There is
Is there any public
no
comment?
public comment in Las Vegas.
Thank you very much. Public comment here in Reno.
Good morning, Kent Irvin, ERVIN, Nevada Faculty Alliance. Good morning, Chair Ariscotta and Vice Chair Cruz Crawford. I look forward to the report in Agenda Item 6 on UNR's progress in fixing its Title IX and Equal Opportunity Office. Since 2022, the UNR's Nevada Faculty Alliance chapter has been asking the UNR administration to be transparent about the operation of the office and to issue statistical reports on the number and disposition of cases for both faculty and students. Although the office is now posting monthly updates, the historical data for faculty cases has not been reported. Also in 2023, UNR engaged TNG Consulting to review the operation of the office, and TNG has issued a report and apparently a follow-up report to the administration. For many months, UNR has promised to release the TNG report to the Faculty Senate, but as May 30th, it had not. More globally, if basic statistical reporting on the handling of Title IX and equal opportunity cases is not provided to the Board of Regents for all of the campuses, you will have no idea when one or more of the campuses has problems in this area. Universities and other states report these data routinely. At multiple NSHE campuses, NFA hears complaints that complaints to the Title IX and EO offices go into black holes with no action, or that perpetrators are protected while victims are retaliated against. These are just anecdotal data. Just as with financial reporting, Regents should require uniform reports from each of the 8 institutions so that you can monitor the operation of these offices, uncover systematic issues, such as the huge backlog of cases in recent years at UNR, and take corrective action. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there further public comment here in Reno? None seen, none heard. We're going to move on to agenda item number 2 in regards to minutes from our previous meetings. One from February 16th, and I believe the second is from February 29th. Do I hear a motion on the table for approval or corrections or items that need to be discussed? Regent Del Carlo.
I make a move. I'm moving slow this morning, but actually I make a motion to approve the minutes as written. Thank you.
Regent Del Carlo, thank you.
Second. Second that.
I'm going to throw that over to Regent Boylan. Regent Boylan, thank you for the second. All in favor of approving the minutes for the past 2 meetings? Say aye.
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 All opposed? Excellent. Motion carries. Chair's report's going to be short and sweet. We have a big agenda coming up, and we have numerous items that need to be discussed in regards to items that are for our interim chief internal auditor is going to be really jumping upon throughout this whole meeting. I feel that it's imperative that we focus on the upcoming agenda rather than hearing items that are going to be arising in the future. But as of right now, we're going to be moving on to agenda item number 4. This is going to be the hosting for Nevada State University and our interim chief internal auditor, Lauren Tripp. If you could please present for potential approval the report and institutional responses of NSU for the hosting audit for the period of July 1st, 2022 through September 30th, 2023. Interim Audit, Chief Internal Auditor Lauren Tripp.
Thank you, Chair Arascata. In the audit summary document, there's a table of audit reports being presented today. As usual, I just want to thank the institutions who have reports being presented today. They're always great with helping us with those responses, and it's a collaborative effort, so thank you. It would help, for the record, Lauren Tripp, Interim Chief Internal Auditor, sorry. So the Board of Regents Handbook this is for the NSU hosting, item 4. The Board of Regents Handbook, Title 4, Chapter 10, Section 25, requires that internal audit test host expenses annually, and the way we satisfy that requirement in the past is to sample an institution or two on a rotating basis annually. So this may sound familiar, and you'd be right, because at the March meeting, there was a similar host audit for a different institution that was presented. For as deep of a dive as some of these reviews can be, the results and recommendations are consistent with the last few audits that we've presented, which is we identified opportunities to improve documentation surrounding host expenditures and purchasing compliance, including table purchases. Recently, the host policy was revised in April of this year, so I'm hopeful those revisions to the host policy will help with our audits to bring more consistency when we're reviewing those host expenditures. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Interim Chief Internal Auditor? I do have a quick one. This is fairly easy. On page 2, just number 1 right off the bat, it says on 8 occasions a hosting expenditure was incorrectly charged as a non-hosting transaction in Workday. Can you expand on that, please?
Sure. So Lauren Tripp, Interim Chief Internal Auditor. So for this one, what it is they were, I'm sure. Okay, so there's different ledger accounts, and they were charged to ones like other operating meals or marketing, things like that, instead of being charged specifically to the host ledger code, which I forget the numbering on it. I feel like it's 6200. I don't want to say that. I'm not 100% sure, but basically that's what happened is it wasn't the right ledger code within Workday. So if you're generating a report and you're trying to run it by that specific number, it's not going to pull up because it was under a different code. I hope that's what you're asking.
Pretty
Okay.
darn close. It is pretty close.
Okay.
Is Audit experiencing difficulties or frustration with Workday? Or running into roadblocks?
For us, no, it's more a matter of trying to figure out I feel like our struggle on our end is figuring out which report will generate the best things for us to review, basically. So how do we get the data we need out of Workday the best way, I guess, to be able to analyze it, so.
Well put. Excellent. So this item was for possible
Chair
action. Yes, sir, Regent Boylan.
Chair Arascata. Thank you, Chair. Just a quick question for Ms. Tripp. I'm really not sure what these gift accounts are. If you don't mind a brief description of that, ma'am, I really appreciate it because I've never used that. I never knew about this till just lately. So what are these gift accounts and how does this work? Because I know some regions have used this gift account and they've given gifts to different organizations, etc. I never heard about this in my orientation or for a couple of years, but now I've heard quite a bit about this. So could you please help me out?
If I can jump in here, Regent Boylan, is this pertaining
Yes, sir.
to agenda item number 4?
Yes, it is, because it mentions there 2 were charged to gift accounts, which allow hosting, et cetera, et cetera. So it's part of this agenda item.
Thank
So
you,
it's
sir.
agendized, it's something we can discuss. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Ms. Tripp.
Give me 1 second, because somebody. Would it be better if perhaps the CFO, did you want to hear more of what the different accounts are? Because the CFO would be able to speak better on how the different accounts are structured. Regent Boylan, would that be
No,
better?
just the gift accounts right now. No, just the gift account,
Chair,
Mike, I'm,
not any other account.
Regent Boylan, I'm going to jump in here if I could.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Wixom, if you could
Yep.
provide the moment of clarity.
Thank you, Michael Wixon, for the record. Regent Boylan, I think you're talking about the Regent host accounts. The Regent host accounts have not been agendized for discussion. This is the NSU host account. So those are two separate issues.
I see.
And if you'd like to talk about the Regent host accounts, that has to be agendized separately. And it's not on the agenda today.
I see. Okay, thank you so much. So could you just explain this NSU gift account to me, please? Not the Regents, forget that. Ask that later. So since this is agendized, could you explain this to me? Well, how does this work and how much is in this account to be spent?
Chair.
This is Darian
Madam
Pollard
Chair,
for
ma'am.
Darian Pollard for the record. If possible, Regent Boylan, good morning to you. Hope you're doing well. I would
morning.
love to provide
Thank
a
you, ma'am.
follow-up report to you that will give you a succinct response to this. It will require us to go back and gather some information for you. In my understanding, it's a fairly complex accounting procedure, and as the English professor, it would be remiss on my part to try and explain that without getting some information for you. So if you allow that, we'll have that to you by the end of next week and to the board in general.
Thank you, ma'am. That sounds really good to me. But Ms. Tripp, could you just tell me how much this amount is for NSU?
Somebody is typing me right now to get you that exact number because I wrote them down, but I don't have that exact number, so on hand, because that's in my
Okay,
work
no-
papers instead. But
No worries, no worries, ma'am. Chair, it's fine, thank you. I can always get this later. I'm sure Ms. Tripp will send this to me and Dr. Pollard. So just so we don't waste time, let's go on. Thank you so much, sir.
Regent Boylan, you're reading my mind. This is exactly what I was going to say. President Pollard,
Thank
thank
you.
you for jumping in and providing that information. What I want to give kudos to both Ms. Tripp and President Pollard is we want to provide information, accurate information, not misinformation. And to have the accurate number pinpointed to make it and provide it as much transparency as possible, that is our goal. So thank you very much for your patience, Regent Boylan. And let's move to
Thank you, sir.
that number 4, because of it as a possible action, is do I have a motion on the table for potential approval? Regent Del Carlo?
I'll make a motion to approve the hosting account for NSU.
Regent Carlo making a motion for approval.
Second, Susan Brager.
Second from Regent Brager. All in favor, please identify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
All right,
Motion passes. We're going to move on to number 5. Agenda item number 5, facilities management for College of Southern Nevada. Once again, for possible action. This is again going to be presented by Interim Chief Internal Auditor Lauren Tripp, and it'll be presented on the report and institutional responses from College of Southern Nevada Facilities Management. Ms. Tripp?
thank you, Chair Scotta. For the record, Interim Chief Internal Auditor Lauren Tripp. This audit report is for CSN Facilities Management. The team noted suggestions for improvement in areas such as increasing controls over change orders and markup fees, strengthening tracking of equipment and PPE purchases, improving the work order review process, and enhancing policies and procedures surrounding authorization and tracking of overtime and state vehicle use. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was a very condensed report. Are there any questions, comments? None heard, none seen. Is there a motion on the table for potential approval?
Motion on item 6, Susan
Thank-
Brager.
Thank you, Regent Brager. Is there a
I second that, Regent Del Carlo.
Thank you, Regent Del Carlo. All in favor, identify by saying aye.
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 Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
Thank you. We're going to jump over to number 6, which is University of Nevada, Reno Office of Equal Opportunity in Title IX. This is going to be presented by, this is information only, University of Nevada, Reno Equal Opportunity and Title IX Director Zeva Edmondson will present an institutional update. I'm going to go to the podium to Ms. Edmondson.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes, sir, President Sandoval.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, Madam Vice Chair, members of the committee, Regents, Chancellor, for the record, Brian Sandoval, President of the University of Nevada, Reno. Since the time I arrived on campus, we recognized that our Office of Equal Opportunity in Title IX was under-resourced and needed attention. We've made it an institutional priority to properly fund and staff the office so that it serves our university community well. Now, response times are down, caseloads are down, and staffing and confidence are up. So almost 1 year ago, we hired Director Zeva Edmondson, and with her leadership, the Title IX office is in a much improved place, which I think you will hear in a moment. So I'm incredibly pleased, honored, and excited to invite Director Edmondson to speak with all of you about the office and share its successes, where we were, where we are, where we're going, and her vision for the future. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, President Sandoval. Ms. Edmondson.
Good morning. I'm Zeva Edmondson. I'm the director of the Equal Opportunity and Title IX office, and I appreciate the opportunity to come for you this morning and tell you about our office. I've been employed with UNR for just under a year, and President Sandoval has given me the opportunity to develop and restructure our office, and with his support and commitment, we have had a tremendous year this year. We've had a lot of success. So we've been able to advance the office, which is now functioning well, and we're now providing professional services aligned with our mission. When I arrived, I went on like a listening tour, if you will, and I met with our chairs, our deans, ASUN, faculty senate, police, just as many folks as I could to get an open dialogue going about what their concerns were, what their needs were, their experiences have been, so we can respond well to the campus community. And out of that, like I said, we've realigned the office, and it's now very effective and efficient and responsive to UNR. And one of the things, as I start out, we're no longer investigating complaints outside our jurisdiction. That was some of it, so we've been able to align the office and the purposes there, which is has a less burden on the office. When I met with the faculty senate, they mentioned transparency, that they wish that they would like to see a little bit more transparency. Of course, what we do is confidential, much of what we cannot give information, but I understood what they were saying. So we have created a dashboard on the website, and that gives our statistics every month of the cases coming in, what's going out, as well as we list the relationship of the persons, if they're a faculty member or a student, and even gender, some more statistical data in response to the concerns that Faculty Senate had. Also, as President Sandoval said, we have hired additional personnel, which has helped address the backlog of cases. Our staff are very well trained. We had an opportunity to do that and get them certified in the areas that they need to be. And I'm very pleased to say, I checked this morning, our caseload, we have 14 open cases, which is a very manageable caseload for an office like ours. So we've done real well there. We've created an intake team. And that was another concern. Folks said, well, we don't always hear right away when a complaint comes in. So we don't have just an automatic computer-automated response. Someone from the intake team will contact the complainant within 72 hours. And I say 72 hours because I have to take into account weekends and holidays that sometimes we just won't be there. But it's often within 48 hours, and it's a phone call or an email from somebody. It's not a computer-generated report where we reach out and let them know that we've received their complaint and ask how we can assist them further. That intake team meets twice a week now, and they go over all the complaints that come in, so we make sure that we're making sure we've got all that data and that we're responding well. The intake process has also been revised, where now when someone comes in, we provide them information about the process, what to expect, what we can and what we even can't do, and let them know what their options are. We've created an intake suite, if you will, and that is a room where when someone comes in, that it's quiet, it's confidential, it's calming, where they can speak openly. These issues are very difficult to talk about. And so we want them to be comfortable as possible and know that that is being kept confidential and that they can speak freely to us. So we're real proud about that as well. Our website is currently under construction. We're updating that. We have, of course, our compliance things and everything that are on there, but that's one of the things that when I met with ASUN, our students said, hey, we don't like the website, can you do something there? So I took note of that, and we're revising that so it's not just compliant, but it's going to be user-friendly, and the information that students want will hopefully, we can get that on there and make that easier for folks. Also on the website will be an annual report that I provided. The T&G report has been approved several weeks ago, and that'll be released soon for you too. Our processes and procedures have been updated in the office, everything from work hours to how workflow works. And I want to talk about data management real quickly. I know I'm going through this pretty quick. That's been a big project this year. We have a software system where we put our data, but we've also constructed it and changed it a little bit so we can put our data in there and then also get our data out as needed. We had paper files that went back from, I think, 2013. We're now in the process. That should finish next week or two. All our data will now be in that system so we can get the data and we can analyze as we need it if somebody needs some information. So we're real proud of that. Training initiatives, we've been doing as much training as we can, getting out, talking to our faculty or staff. We've done some training events. We've tailored training for different groups, such as for Greek life, our resident, our RAs, things like that. And that was another thing that I think our students brought to our attention. They really would like to have more training, information about prevention, sexual assault, those kinds of things. So we're in the process of adding a new position to our office, which will be a prevention and education specialist. President Sandoval felt that was very needed and backed me up on that. So we're in the process of hiring someone that can meet those needs as well and can be more informative for our campus. So we're pleased about that position. Our Lake Tahoe campus, we've been working with the administrators there, so when they come online, that we'll have an ability to respond to any needs there. We don't want them to think that they're out of sight, out of mind. And so we're going to have a deputy Title IX coordinator up there, and that's going to be someone that'll be trained, have the information, that if they have a concern, they'll have someone on campus that they can go to, and then that person then can have a connection, direct connection to us for next steps and things like that. So we're real pleased about that. Moving forward, I may want to do some more deputy Title IX corner positions like that, maybe one over at the med school. So when we have these areas that have those concerns, they have someone right there that they can go to and they don't feel a disconnection. So we're also going to enhance our training, as mentioned with the new position. Another issue that I think is a great one that our students brought up as a student advisory board that they showed interest in. So that is forming, and I've been working with them as that is coming into place maybe next fall semester. So that's kind of where we are. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you. Stay there, Ms. Edmondson.
Thank you.
Regent DeCarlo.
Thank you, Chair Escada. I just want to say, it's Ziva?
Ziva.
Ziva, okay, got it right. You're a whirlwind. You've gotten a lot accomplished. And there was truly a need, as we know, and I think that position had been vacant for a while, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So I would just say you have been sounds like you've been a great pick. I love that you're listening to our students, because that's who this is for.
Yes.
We all know that. And if your caseload's down to 14, I know it was quite much larger than that. So, I mean, that's very manageable. And I really appreciate that you recognize the need to have someone trained up at Lake Tahoe.
Yes.
You know, somebody at least is on the campus. And I think it's a great idea to go out, say, to the School of Medicine and others where you see a need. I mean, the more awareness there is, the better it is for everybody. So kudos to the students for asking for the training and what to look for too. I mean, they see a need too. So thank you so much for your efforts. And thank you, President Sandoval, for jumping on this as well as you did, because it's an area that truly needed attention, and it looks like you got truly the right leader. So thank you, and I look forward to meeting you in person.
Thank you.
Yes, Vice Chair.
Regent Cruz Crawford, for the record, I just want to thank you. I know there's been a lot of concerns about Title IX, not just at this institution, but all over the organization. So I appreciate, I know I was one of the people that kept bugging everybody about Title IX, driving people crazy. So I appreciate seeing that there was a need in addressing it. And I look forward to the continued outreach and proactive work that we can do to decrease those numbers. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Regent Cruz Crawford. I have a question myself also. You stated you have currently 14 open cases. How many open cases did you have last year when you came onto the job?
About 139. So we've been busy.
Unquestionably, how did you all come to take care of all those other 115 cases?
We added additional staff, as well as some of those were cases that had been opened and concluded, but just not closed or closed properly. And some of those were cases that should not have been in our office, so we were able to refer some of those out to, like, say, HR or Dean of Students, places like that. So that helped with bringing that down as well. And then again, I mentioned how we've realigned our mission, where we were taking in cases that really didn't belong in the office, so that has helped reduce some of the caseload. But
Filtering out the ones that were necessary and understandable.
yeah, if we get something that just doesn't fall within our purview, but we want people to report, but then we just say, this isn't something we handle, it's not discrimination, but it is a concern we want to be addressed, so we'll refer it over to the right. And we get that each month, we get some, but.
Excellent. Curiosity, where are you located on campus?
We're at the Continuing Education Building and on the second floor, so I don't know where I am. When you go back down Virginia, on the right, there's a building with all the eyeballs on it. That's not us, but we're right next door to it. That's where we're located. So we're not in the center of campus, but we are on campus. I think the location works really well because folks can go over and feel a little comfortable and not be like, hey, why are you going in the center of a campus? Sometimes that's concerning, so.
Strong compliments to having then a room dedicated to confidentiality. Confidentiality is imperative in regards to Title IX and the reports of Title IX. And I'm going to have a new business item coming up specifically for Title IX on all the campuses. So
Okay.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well done. Oh, yes, please, Regent Carvalho.
Thank you, Chair Scotta. I'm not on this committee, so I appreciate your allowing me to make a comment. Ziva, it's wonderful to finally meet you. We've heard a lot of things about the work that you're doing on campus. And I think that student and employee safety and a sense of belonging is so important on all of our campuses. And the Title IX office has a lot to do with that as well. So thank you for your diligent efforts to get us up to speed. Following up on the number of cases that didn't necessarily fit within your office, do you have any mechanism for following up to be sure that those cases are being seen through to the end, to make sure that those cases are also dealt with accordingly?
What we do An example of the cases that we were handling, and I'll give the example of ADA cases. That's an HR function now, and they've hired a staff to handle those. I work very closely with the director over the ADA program, so while I don't check in on each case, I'm confident that we have a great communication, a very good collaborative relationship, that those cases are going to be handled correctly. Any other concerns? Often it's HR, or it would be the dean of students. And the dean and I meet every other week, and make sure that we're doing the same thing, a great relationship, following up and making sure nothing's falling through the cracks, so.
Thank you. I agree that communication and collaboration are the bedrock of success on our institutions, campuses, and so thank you for that follow-up.
Ms. Edmondson, question. Why would the ADA cases be referred to human resources?
It's actually a function of, that's when someone is asking for an ADA accommodation. We would handle it if it fell under discrimination. But if somebody said, I need an accommodation, that would be an HR function. And so those were moved. But we would still handle any discriminatory stuff, but we were handling everything under that. So that better aligns.
Are you referring to faculty and staff or students?
That would be for faculty and
Thank you.
staff.
Just wanted to make sure we have the clarity on
Right,
that.
and I work very well with our disability services, Shane Carter. We meet often and talk about how we're structuring our offices, so we're providing, because we can provide academic services under Title IX. He can also provide services for disabilities. We want to make sure that we're giving the students everything that they need. So we speak often as well.
Excellent. Last question. When you came on the job 1 year ago, how many were on your staff? How many were on the staff at Title IX?
I had 3 investigators and no administrative support.
And
And
today?
now we have 6 investigators, 2 admin support, and then we have 2 additional, and then, like I said, an intake coordinator, and then we have a data analyst. So, yeah, we're doing well.
I applaud the University of Nevada, Reno for taking Title IX as serious as it should be. Thank you. Thank you both. Any other questions from the dais? Hearing none, and this was an information item only, and that was a wealth of information. Thank you very much to you both.
Thank you.
We're going to move on to item number 7, the internal audit compliance and Title IX updates. And this is going to be forwarded over to Interim Chief Auditor Lauren Tripp.
Thank you, Chair Arskada. Since you'll be hearing from me a lot in item number 8, I'll try to keep this pretty short. So I also want to thank Director Edmondson for making my life easy by giving a Title IX update. I was going to try to struggle through that, but why not have the expert actually talk about Title IX? So thank you. And I can't remember if she mentioned this, but the new regulations came out, I believe, mid-April, and they will have to be in place by August 1st, I believe. So Title IX directors are busy right now. The incident management system, so an update on that. We've selected a vendor, finished the paperwork, sent it in earlier this week, so it's just a matter of working with them to finish the platform. So I'm hopeful by our next quarterly meeting that everything will be in place and there'll be a system on our website. Right now, in the meantime, there's nothing there. We have an email and it has been utilized in the meantime. And then a quick external audit update. Last meeting, our formal external auditors discussed how they're waiting on completion of that PEB audit to finish the last of their procedures. Last week, Chair Scott and I met with our formal external auditors. The PEB audit was completed. They wrapped up the remaining steps. They were able to issue their report last week, and everything's been submitted at this point. Our new external auditors have had a few kickoff meetings, and they've had other meetings with applicable NSHE personnel, including myself, related to how NSHE internal audit will be assisting this year. For our piece in this, I expect to hear from them within the next couple weeks to work out the details. And that's all I have for that one. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the dais? None. Because this was information only, we appreciate that information. Ms. Tripp, as you alluded to, you'll be speaking a lot in regards to item 8. Let's segue over into it. This is the handbook revision for the Internal Audit Department Charter. Ms. Tripp will present the proposed revisions to the Internal Audit Department and the Charter. Ms. Tripp.
Thank you, Chair Arascata. Lauren Tripp, Interim Chief Internal Auditor. As you may have heard me mention from the last few meetings, the new global internal audit standards, those were released in January of this year, and we have to be compliant by January of 2025. So the first part of this process is the charter. So per BOR Handbook Bylaws Title I, Chapter 6, Section 3, it is the duty of the Audit Compliance and Title IX Committee to review the respective internal audit charter on a periodic basis to ensure the functions are complying with professional standards and addressing emerging issues appropriately. So I'm going to go over a little bit about the internal audit standards, probably more than you really want to know about audit, but here we go. The Global Internal Audit Standards, which I will refer to as the standards, those guide the worldwide professional practice of internal auditing and serve as a basis for evaluating and elevating the quality of the internal audit function. So they're like the golden internal audit standards. At the heart of the standards are 15 guiding principles that enable effective internal auditing. And then each of those principles will include requirements, considerations for implementation, and then examples of conformance. These combined elements help internal auditors achieve the principles and fulfill the purpose of internal auditing. For the proposed charter before you today, I would love to take all the credit for creating this on my own, but I lucked out. Midway through April, the IIA, which is the Institute of Internal Auditors who released those standards, they released a model charter template. So what you're seeing, I used their template, this model template, as the base, and I would say about 70 to 80% is that model charter template, with me integrating NSHE-specific components into that template. So now getting to the proposed charter. I feel like it was easier to strike through entire sections as opposed to have you struggling to read between the lines. So I'm going to take each section, explain what our current charter has, and then mention what is in the proposed charter so we can identify any differences. So starting with section 1. So section 1 for the current charter describes the nature of internal audit. So why are we here? What do we do? What are we trying to accomplish? The updated section 1 purpose, it basically serves the same function, but with some additional wording. It is once again, why are we here? What are we setting out to do? How can we both be most effective? With an additional statement about our commitment to the global internal audit standards, because that's required. Sorry, I have a paper party going on over here, so sorry. Section 2, the current charter describes the mission and scope. So part of the current mission statement has been moved to the proposed section 1 that I just mentioned. The proposed section 2 describes the internal audit department access to the organization, or NSHE. We provide 2 types of services, advisory and assurance. Assurance is more, think your typical audits, that work plan that we present twice a year, the ones that come through the board with a report that you approve. Internal audit, for those audits, we usually drive more of what we're auditing, whereas advisory services are ones that are requested by the institution. They typically help set the scope of the area they want us to review. So, and then the last part of that is what our engagements may include. So I also use the IIA template, that's the Institute of Internal Auditors, to add some wording to the items that were already in this section to make sure I was incorporating what we need to for, to be compliant with the new standards. Okay, now, section 3. So, section 3, the items related to authority, and section 4 for the current charter. These are being combined into section 3 for the proposed charter. For both charters, the internal audit activity is established by the Board of Regents and describes the authority of the board. The current charter section for independence, which describes the reporting lines, has been moved to section 3 of the proposed charter. Here is where I think I'm anticipating I'm going to get the most questions on this specific section. So I'm going to, this part's going to be a bit longer so I can describe it a bit better, because I want to try to alleviate any concerns. So the current reporting line is we functionally report to the chair of, I'm going to shorten Audit, Compliance, and Title IX Committee just to Audit Committee, just because it's a bit easier when instead of me saying the whole part. So if I say Audit Committee, I mean the same thing. So the current reporting line is we report functionally to the chair of the Audit Committee and administratively to the board chair. So I'm going to read you something from the Global Internal Audit Standards. Domain 3, Governing the Internal Audit Function, Standard 7.1, Organizational Independence, and this is under the considerations for implementation. So it states the following. Internal auditing is most effective when the internal audit function is directly accountable to the board, also known as functionally reporting to the board, rather than directly accountable to management for activities over which it provides assurance and advice. A direct reporting relationship between the board and the chief audit executive enables the internal audit function to perform internal audit services and communicate engagement results without interference or undue limitations. So that is the functional reporting line to a board. So continuing on from the standards, while the chief audit executive reports functionally to the board, the administrative reporting relationship is often to a member of management. This enables access to senior management and the authority to challenge management's perspectives. To achieve this authority, it is leading practice for the chief audit executive to report administratively to the CEO or equivalent, although reporting to another senior officer may achieve the same objective if appropriate safeguards are implemented. So once again, I'm going to go over the reporting lines once again. So currently, functional audit committee, administratively board chair. So what I have in the proposed is there's no change to the functional reporting line to the audit committee chair. It's the administrative day-to-day operations line I'm recommending, or we are recommending to the CFO based on the standards. So I'll be honest when I say our current setup is a bit unusual. We're part of a group called ACUA, which is the Association of College and University Auditors. And there was a forum where someone posted for individuals to respond what their reporting lines were. So of the 15 responses, all of them had functional lines to the audit committee, board of trustees. But when looking at the administrative line, 47% reported to a chancellor or president, 47% reported to a CFO or financial officer position, and then 6% reported to another VP, like a VP of chief risk officer kind of position. So none of those groups had an administrative reporting line to the board. So then I went a little bit further, performed some additional research, looking at other internal audit department websites for other systems and institutions to add to that original 15 that were from that forum. So I came up with 50, including some systems and groups. I say groups because some of them were, they had multiple institutions under them, but they weren't labeled as a system. So what I found was similar to the original 15 trends. So 100% reported functionally to an audit committee, board trustees, but administratively, out of the 50 groups I reviewed, none of them reported administratively to a board representative. So of the total groups I looked at again, approximately 26% reported to a chancellor, 32% to a president, 28% reported to a CFO or vice chancellor of business affairs, similar finance kind of position, and 14% to another group, which it varied between like general counsel, COO, chief risk officer, et cetera. So I'm still trying to find someone out there who reports the way we do. I've had some questions come up, so I want to try to field these too. I probably, once again, I think I'm giving you way more than you want, but I'd rather have this discussion. So there is a concern that we wouldn't be independent. So that's why that functional reporting line is so important. That functional reporting line, that is the independence right there. That maintains the independence, having that functional reporting line. Sometimes there's a concern because I do have an accounting degree. So if, say, you have a smaller CFO or a smaller department for finance, and they're short-staffed. You might get pressured by the CFO to do accounting transactions, and now your independence is shot. So that's sometimes a concern out there, but I don't think that should be a concern, and I've written language in here to help alleviate any potential impairment concerns. So there are other avenues you could go to. If something like that were to come up, which is honestly doubtful, you'd go to the chancellor or the audit chair. And lastly, on this one, it's really not fair to expect the board chair to be available for urgent situations. They have time constraints, additional board duties, and a life outside NSHE. So having someone who's an NSHE employee there to help with day-to-day operation, this is their full-time job, and can help with access, easier access to senior management, this would be helpful. And I guess lastly on that is the CFO should not have as much turnover as a board chair position. It's should be more stable. And I guess the last part of that section describes when, for the proposed standards, describes situations when changes to the mandate or charter may be necessary. I'm going to pause there because I know that was a lot for that section.
You are correct. That was a lot for that section.
It was a lot of Lauren, sorry.
No, it's not. It's actually very helpful, and you're very succinct in describing the vast majority of it. And I'm looking over at Regent Del Carlo. Looks like you have something? No?
I'm just a little confused. Are we pausing for questions here, or are we just giving you a pause?
Giving me a pause.
Okay, because.
Let's go ahead and pause for questions. Regent Del Carlo, do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions. I think this totally makes sense. I never thought, I was on the board when this change took place back in 18, and I guess one of my first questions would be, Lauren, how often does this national or international group change their standards or update their standards? That'd be my first question.
Lauren Tripp, Interim Chief Internal Auditor. So the last time was 2017. So.
Okay, because we made a change on the board in 2018 when we did this reporting structure, and I don't remember if I was on the audit committee, but I was on the board, but I don't remember. But anyway, I didn't think, I agree with you. I think administratively, you should report to a full-time employee, and it falls under the CFO. So I'm really happy with this change, so. We can go on from there. I'm sure others have maybe a comment.
Actually, before we go ahead and comment, Ms. Tripp, why don't you go ahead and finish up if you had anything else?
Okay. I'll keep going through the sections. Thank you for that pause. Lauren Tripp, Interim Chief Internal Auditor. So now I'm on current section 4. So we just talked about going into proposed section 3, part of it related to the responsibility, or no, sorry. Part of it went into section 3. So then the part related to responsibilities is now in proposed section 4, roles and responsibilities. So these new IA standards, they place a greater emphasis on board responsibilities. So you'll see this section is pretty long with, it breaks down basically board responsibilities, chief auditor responsibilities, the auditors in the department, and it really tries to have a collaborative effort between chief audit executive, management, and board. For the proposed section 4, it's, like I just mentioned, lists out all the roles and responsibilities for the board, CIO responsibilities of board management, and ensuring the department is operating effectively and efficiently, managing the function, and that the auditors are maintaining their independence and objectivity. There's an emphasis for the CIA to communicate, it's a huge emphasis actually, to communicate with the board and management, so everybody's working together. And then current section 6 and 7, these were combined into the proposed section 4, which includes internal audit plan and reporting and monitoring. Here's where it gets a little bit easier because current section 5 remains the same. This has to do with audit requests. Current section 8 is now proposed section 6 with the title change, an individual change that relates to the external assessment and the responsibility of the CIA for the Internal Audit Activities Quality Assurance Improvement Program. And then Section 9 is now Section 7 for the proposed charter related to institution audit response requirements. And I didn't really go over the briefing memo much, but this describes a summary of the internal audit charter, the IIA and the global internal audit standards, that we're updating the charter to better align with the standards, and some points on why we recommend the changes. There's also an attachment from a webinar that I found kind of helpful. It's a useful example of how important communication and collaboration is between that chief audit executive board and senior management. And I liked it because it gave you an example of a matrix to break down like the different tasks and which group might be involved in what area. So I appreciate the committee's input on this item, and that's me running through lots of charter stuff. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tripp. Are there any questions from the board to Ms. Tripp regarding revising the charter for the, I see your hand, two hands. I'm going to start over with Vice Chair Regent Cruz Crawford.
Thank you, Chair. Regent Cruz Crawford, for the record, I just want to celebrate our auditor. She called me and went over these items in detail, which is a pretty hard task because I don't really know what's going on with this. But now I know better the second time. I'm learning every day. But she just loves being an auditor, loves the work, and it was a really nice conversation to hear. It is an intimidating job to come up before the board, so just know that we really appreciate the work that you're doing. You're doing a phenomenal job, and you're appreciated.
Thank you, Regent Cruz Crawford. Regent Del Carlo, you had your hand up?
I would just say I love how proactive you are. This standards came out in January and it's May, and we have until January of 25 to put them in. So I like that you're out in front of it. I think that's really great. I think you've provided great leadership. The reasoning all makes sense, and I mean, this is an international standard, and for us to even deviate is like, why? So I think to put us back in a line where everybody else is truly makes sense, and I support all the work and leadership you're providing, and that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Looking at the screen, nothing there. I do have a couple questions because one of the items that you referred to was the standards, the internal audit charter, and I kind of geeked out and I went to theiia.org, THEIIA.org, and you're referring to, I'm just jumped right down to page 42. On the standard 6.2 internal audit chart of the requirements, the chief audit executive must develop and maintain the internal audit charter that specifies the minimum internal audit functions, purpose of internal auditing, commitment to adhering to the global internal audit standards, and to mandate including scope and types of services to be provided, organizational position and reporting systems, such as organizational independence. One of the items that the IIA does throughout is that their standards say it's a leading practice of administrative reporting, especially with the senior management or such as executive officer. But what they state throughout the website and throughout all of their documents, it says for consideration. It stops short of saying a requirement. And that is one of my red flags that come up. I understand that you put in some diligent work, but besides yourself, who else worked on this new charter?
Well, I started with the IA template, like I had mentioned. So the part of the process of the charter is to make sure that senior management and the board are on, like, once again, the collaboration kind of thing, are on the same page. So I would say I did email this to management and to board, I guess yourself and my other reporting line to the board chair for input. But I mean, typically, it's the chief audit executive who is writing it, and then you get input from management and the board staff, or board.
Okay. One of my concerns is, as of right now, there's an opening with the internal audit manager up here in the Reno Systems office. And having a collaborative effort between your entire office, this is well written, don't get me wrong, everything you've done. However, these standards do not come into effect until January 9th of this year. Is that what you mentioned? Of 2025, not of this year. I hope you all knew what I meant. Excellent. All right, well, for me, I would personally like to hold off bringing these forward. We have an upcoming for tomorrow's meeting. I know Chair Carvalho here to my right. We have some upcoming items that are going to be pertinent to the audit compliance in Title IX, in particular to a potential search for a chief internal auditor. And for me, I would like to just pump the brakes until the chief internal auditor is hired, and hopefully all that want to apply would definitely unquestionably apply. But this is just for me. I just think we should pump the brakes. We have until January 9th to get this right, and to get more eyes on this is important. So that's just my input. Regent Breger?
Thank you so much, and I respect how you feel. Have read everything a couple of times. I'm completely comfortable with the agenda item as it stands and ready to take a vote. As chair, I guess you have the ability to stop that, but I think it's ready to move forward and doesn't really affect anything. The only thing I know, when you said, and we have till January, but all of a sudden the months fly by, and I don't want us to feel like all of a sudden we're down to crunch time. It's something that could always come back, I guess, if you felt that strong about it, but I'm not certain why the hold on it till tomorrow. Just my opinion.
Chair Arascata, just a quick word, if you may. Just want to clarify that now that this agenda item has opened up, you or any member of this committee has the ability to take action, including approving, moving it, et cetera. So just want to get that on the record for you.
And your name. Talk a little louder and get your voice and your name on the record.
Chris Nielsen, sorry. Just want to clarify, Chris Nielsen for the record. Because this agenda item has opened up already, this committee will have to take some form of action, whether it be a motion to approve these revisions or a motion to postpone to a certain date, but some action will have to be taken. So I just wanted to clarify and get that on the record for you.
There you go, Chris. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Oh, yes, Chair Carvalho, you have a comment?
Thank you, Chair Escada. I did want to just give my comments on this item as well. Ms. Tripp did reach out to me and received my feedback. I am in full support of moving forward with this today, even though I am not on this committee. As Chair Arascata and I had discussed previously, it was my thought that the changes to this charter should take place before we commence a search for a permanent chief internal auditor, so that that search was very clear about the reporting line for that person or those applicants moving forward. I know that that's a fundamental difference in opinion between the two of us, but I did want to share that I felt strongly that this should be done today so that we can move forward with a clear reporting line in the future. And I will also say that I I agree with these new standards as somebody who's not involved in the daily operations of our office, our system office. It does become a bit of a difficulty at times as the chair to respond as quickly to the chief internal auditor or with answers that are appropriate. I think that having an administrative reporting line to an actual employee of the system office is an appropriate reporting line, and as we see, one that is a national standard. So I do support this agenda item today. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Carvalho. Regent Boylan, I see your hand.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. I actually agree with you. I think we have more time to do this a wee bit more. Sometimes we are slow as molasses, and sometimes we just want to jump into things. But I think we have the time. Ms. Tripp has done a lot of work on this, I'm sure. But like you, I like collaboration, and I think we should get some more. We need some more information and more feedback from others too. So I think we could wait a wee bit on this one. That's my opinion, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Regent Boylan. Regent Breger?
If there's no other conversation, and no disrespect to anyone, but I'm going to make a motion for approval and see where it goes.
Thank you. Motion on the table for approval by Regent Breger. Regent Del Carlo?
Thank you for calling on me. I make a second. Thank you.
Thank you, Regent Del Carlo. So there's a motion on the table for approval and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Aye.
Nay.
Motion,
No, aye.
motion carries. Thank you very much. Let's move on to agenda item number 9. Is there any new business on the table? Actually, I'm going to jump on this. There's 2 items I'd really like to focus on, and Ms. Edmondson sparked this by her magnificent update in regards to the Title IX department here at the University of Nevada, Reno. One of the items I would like to do for future new business would be annual reports by Title IX offices of each campus. We can do this in a manner that can be short and succinct. However, the importance of this office and the office of Title IX on each campus needs to be recognized. This is not something that can be overlooked and cannot be overlooked anymore. Equity, equality, and recognition of each person needs to be done. And once again, I want to compliment Ms. Edmondson for sparking that. Second item is that NSHE has an open position in the Title IX office here at the Nevada System of Higher Education. Regent Cruz Crawford gave me the reminder of that. However, I had it on here for new business already. Is there any other items for new business? None stated. Let's go to public comment as I go through. Is there any public comment at GBC?
There is none at this time.
Is there any public comment at the systems office in Las Vegas?
There is no public comment in Las Vegas.
Thank you much. Is there any public comment here at the University of Nevada, Reno? There's not. SCS, is there any public comment on the phone?
There's none at this time.
Fantastic. No public comment, none seen. This meeting is adjourned.